All right, we've made it to the final video, the final set of questions, 28 to 36. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Is diffusion active or passive transport? Well, the first thing you need to know is what is diffusion? Diffusion is a random collision of molecules, and active transport means it requires energy. Passive transport means it doesn't require energy. So this random collision of molecules, does it require energy or does it not? Well, diffusion is passive transport and it does not require energy. Number 29. What is the characteristic that distinguishes a eukaryotic cell versus a prokaryotic cell? And a lot of people are under the misconception that eukaryotes are animals and prokaryotes are plants. That is not the case. Eukaryotes are both plants and animals. Prokaryotes would an example of that would be bacteria. But please remember that eukaryotes are plants and they are animals. We looked at both plant cells and animal cells in our lab, and we saw the nuclei there in both animal cells and plant cells. So the difference between a eukaryotic cell and a prokaryotic cell is simply whether or not it contains a membrane-bound nucleus. Eukaryotes have a nucleus, prokaryotes do not. Remember, you are a eukaryote. We are animals. Your cells contain a nucleus. Plants also are eukaryotes. Their cells contain a nucleus as well. Prokaryotes, which are bacteria, do not. All right, number 30, what is the general path of proteins in the cell? So there's there's a general sequence, which is 3 steps. Ribosomes, where proteins begin being made, they get folded up and they go to the rough endoplasmic reticulum where they're all the way folded up. And then they enter vesicles to go to the Golgi apparatus, which is the polishing stage or the final production and making of the protein so it can go to the cell or outside the cell, wherever it's going to be used. So it starts with ribosomes, goes to the rough ER, and then Golgi apparatus. Now, the rough ER, you may be saying, well, why is it going to the rough and not the smooth? Remember, what makes the rough ER rough are the bumps all over it. Well, what are all those bumps over the ER? Those are the ribosomes, and that's why the rough endoplasmic reticulum or rough ER deal with proteins, because it has ribosomes on them. What are some organelles that plant cells have that animal cells do not? So they're both eukaryotic. They have a lot of the same organelles, but there's a few organelles plant cells have that animal cells do not. One is a cell wall. Plants do have a cell membrane. All organisms on Earth, regardless of what it is, if it's alive, it has a cell membrane. In addition to the cell membrane, plant cells also have a cell wall. They have chloroplasts, which allows them to do photosynthesis, and they have a large central vacuole, which is going to store a lot of the water that plants take in, for example. All right, number 32. When molecules enter through a protein pump or protein channel, what type of diffusion is it? Well, because it's diffusion, we know right away it's passive transport. It doesn't require any energy. The key word here are the protein pumps or protein channels. And because it's using a protein pump or channel, we call that facilitated diffusion. It is still passive transport. An example of this would be glucose entering the bloodstream. Glucose can go directly into your blood cells very rapidly because it's going through the protein pump or protein channel, which is like the fast pass, a fast track, or a VIP line. Number 33, what is the purpose of lysosomes? Well, it's like the hitman for the cell or the cleanup crew. It gets rid of things that no longer function like they should. So if there's something inside the cell that is not functioning like it should, the lysosome is going to take it out. Describe the cell membrane as well as what it does. So we said every organism has a cell membrane. It's made of a bilipid layer or a lipid bilayer. Either way is correct. It is considered semi-permeable because it allows certain things in and out. So we call it semi-permeable. Permeable meaning that things can go in and out of it. We call it semi-permeable because it will allow some things in and allow some things out. It does not let just anything in and just anything out. So we call it semi-permeable because of that. It regulates what enters and what leaves the cell. All right, 35. The diffusion of water across a selectively permeable membrane is called, well, the selectively permeable membrane is the cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane because it's in contact with the plasma in your blood. But the diffusion of water, there's one key word that gives this whole thing away, and it is water. 9 times out of 10, when you see water and it's talking about anything with water, it's going to be one word, which is osmosis. Now, what makes it osmosis is it's going across the cell membrane here. So anytime you see water in a cell membrane, it's talking about water crossing, that's going to be 9 times out of 10 osmosis. All right, last one. When cells take something inside using energy, that is a form of what? So we're looking for something that's going inside the cell and that's using energy. Well, using energy, we already know that it has to be something that's active transport. So it cannot be diffusion, it cannot be facilitated diffusion, and it cannot be osmosis, which is also passive transport. Well, that leaves a few things, and if something's going inside the cell, that's going to be endocytosis. Something is going in. An example of this would be a phagocyte engulfing a foreign substance or bacteria in our body. That foreign substance or bacteria is going to go inside the phagocyte, and because it's going inside the phagocyte, it's going to get broken down, and because it's going inside, it's endocytosis. All right, that's all the questions for the review. If you have any additional questions, anything that you're only not 100% certain of, please ask me. Even if you're only 99% sure of something, please ask me so we can clear up any misconceptions that may still be around. We'll see you guys next time in class. Come ready to make an A on the midterm. I expect nothing less.